Okay, so this is my first podcast back since the Palisades Fire and the Altadena Fire. And as a lot of you have heard, I lost my home in the Palisades Fire. And I just really want to preface all of this by saying I, even in this situation, know how incredibly lucky I am. I have insurance. I have really good insurance. I can still work. I didn't lose my job. Steve didn't lose his job. Cooper didn't lose his job. And not only are we all safe, we all know that we're incredibly, incredibly fortunate in this situation. But as much as people kind of understand or imagine what it would like, you really cannot until it actually happens to you. It's like when someone hasn't had a baby and they say, oh, when they put your baby in your arms, it's going to be the most magical moment. Well, yes, it is. But until you've done it, you don't really understand it. And that's the only thing I can liken this to. So I've been asked so many questions. I thought I would just kind of go through some of them and answer them. Okay. Easily, the first question has been, how are you doing? Well, that's a very tough one to answer. No, I'm not doing well, but I'm fine. I'm doing okay. The answer is that this sucks and is monumentally fucked up. How am I doing? I've just defaulted to, I'm upright. I'm upright. Question number two that's been a tough one is when people ask, what are you going to do? Meaning, are you going to rebuild? I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm trying not to be one of those people who isn't making decisions out of panic. I'm trying to stay as mentally disciplined as I can be in this situation, so that I make sound decisions about what the future looks like when I can finally get my head around what my present is. Question three has always been, are you going to stay in the area? See question number two. I don't know. I don't know. I know people who have already submitted plans and are already itching to rebuild. What am I going to do? I'm trying to just be smart and wait till my brain and my heart and my emotions slow down. One of the overwhelming questions I've been asked are, where are the joke files? They're at the National Comedy Center. They're fine. The National Comedy Museum. They're fine. Now let's start to really get personal. What did I take and why did I take it? We've all been trained that you always take all your important paperwork. You take your passports and your insurance paper and whatever is your important paperwork. But then you start, and I don't know if it's just because I live in Los Angeles and earthquakes and we've had to evacuate before. You always think you have this checklist in your head of what you're going to grab. My checklist went a little bit out the window. My first thought was that I can get pictures of my mother and me. Those exist online. Those exist elsewhere. Of course, not baby pictures and things like that. But I know I can have a photo of my mom. I can't do that with my dad. So I grabbed a photo of my dad. I grabbed my mom's Emmy. People keep asking me why. that her only Emmy was one after she had come back from my father's suicide and crawled her way back up and had her talk show. So what it represents to me is overcoming horrible things. I grabbed a picture of me and Cooper on the beach. I grabbed my mom's watch. I grabbed my dad's watch that I had given to Cooper when he turned 18, a small silver box that had been gifted to my father after he had done some work for the UN. Cooper grabbed one painting. I grabbed another. I wish that I had grabbed a third. That was very, very meaningful for me. The art in my family is a generational collection. And I remember the very first time my parents bought a good piece of art. And it wasn't great. It was good. And it was a really big deal. And I remember them walking around my childhood home and figuring out where to put it. And I remember every piece after that. And when my mom moved to New York and had sold our LA house, and after my dad had committed suicide, and it was years before my mom got into a home. And I was there the day they uncrated the art. And I started to cry. Because for me, it represented our home that was gone. So that's been a tough one for me. I'm haunted by all the little things my mother, since I was a child, would come out at Thanksgiving, these little silver birds. I wish I had grabbed them. I didn't. Something I am really, really am struggling with is I was an only child. I am an only child. My father was an only child. Everything but the picture of him and his watch and the one box, every piece of physical evidence that his family ever existed is gone. And this is a family that was a big German family. This is a family that ran from the Nazis. This is a family that no one survived except for my father and I think two cousins and my dad's parents. They ran. Every scrap, every physical scrap of evidence that family even existed is gone. And that is incredibly hard for me. And like I said, my mother's things and the legacy and all these things still exist. And the Rosenberg side of the family is literally gone. And, I lost my father to suicide when I was 18. So it's gone. And I'm having trouble getting my head around that. I mean, Cooper lost everything I had of him growing up. My parents had, and they were known, they had this amazing Fabergé collection. And most of it was in the safety deposit box. But what I'm learning is as much as the bank vaults are fire resistant with all these kinds of things, all my mother's beautiful, good jewelry, generations of things that were smuggled out of Russia during the Russian Revolution by my mother's relatives that were sewn into the inside of clothes. it is 99% that they did not survive the heat. All this, the Fabergé, all of this managed to survive the Russian Revolution. And that's gone. But again, these are just possessions. But they were my family. They were the history, the tangible history that these people existed. All of my mother's baby pictures, all of generations of her family's photos. The thing with my mom, though, is like the legacy is still there. And as heartbreaking as the fact that everything of the evidence of the family is gone, is what I'm really wrestling with, and really wrestling especially with my dad. I mean, the interesting thing is also I've managed to skip grief. I know it's going to come back. I know it's going to bite me in the ass. And I've gone directly into anger. And I can tell you as of today, the anger is subsiding. But I do know grief is going to come back and definitely bite me in the ass at some point. But at least the anger is subsiding. I'm strong. I'm, and this is not a poor me, but this is the third time in my life that I have woken up or gone to bed. This is the third time in my life I have gone to bed with my world one way and woken up with it upside down, never to be returned to what it was. I lost my father to suicide at 18. I lost my mother in a horrific way. We don't need to go into details. And now I've lost not just me, but I've lost my home. And, why is this happening to me? And I'm not allowing myself to go down that rabbit hole. That would be pointless and useless. And the only thing I can think of is maybe I was Attila the Hun in another life. Why bring on that self-inflicted pain right now? It's a waste of my time. I am a very strong person. I am my parents' child. And that is serving me well. We were not a family that wallowed. My mother always used to say, you get a weekend wallow. You can feel sorry for yourself for a couple days and then get up, put on some lipstick, and get out the door. And I'm really living by that. I keep going back to how lucky I am in this. And that is not lost on me. And I work for, which is just sort of ironic, I am the co-chair of the board of D.D. Hirsch Mental Health Services and Suicide Prevention. And it's like those old stupid commercials for Hair Club for Men. I'm not just the president, but I'm a patient too. I feel like that right now. But one of the things that has helped me always is even when I'm in this shitstorm, to help other people. I've been the one to reach out to the other people in my life that are in this situation and check in and say, are you okay? I'm not. And it's okay not to be. And, I hate that my superpower is, but clearly I have a superpower, and that is an incredibly dark sense of humor. And that has kept me going. Laughing is how I get through the irony and saying it out loud. They always say the best laughter is the laughter through tears. And that's that's serving me well. I hate that. The best part about me is that I can laugh, and I'm making, in the midst of all of this horror, I'm keeping those around me laughing because it's so absurd. There is nothing you can say. Again, between the suicide and my mother's death and now this, unfortunately, I am not a rookie in these situations. I'm not happy I'm a veteran, but at least I can help. I can honestly say to people, you will get through this. And I don't know if that helps, but I'm trying. In the staging area where we were waiting to see what happened, at this area that we were all in, and it's a club we belong to, and everyone came down there from the Palisades, and we were all staging there with all of our animals, and this woman walked by me who I don't even know who she is, sobbing, and I just put out my hand and touched her. No clue who she was. She didn't know me. And I put my arms around her, and she sobbed for a couple minutes. And I was looking on my Instagram, and in the comments she said, I'm the person you hugged. Thank you. So for me, putting my own crap aside and my own emotions aside and letting the people around me who are in this vent, and my job is just to make them laugh. That's all I can do. It's all I can give back. And that's helping me. I look back and I think, wow, all those generations of German and Russian DNA are serving me well. I am stubborn and determined, which are not great attributes, let's just say, in relationships, but they are working very well for me now. Cooper's okay. He's up and down. We got to go and see the house, or the ashes, and Cooper chose not to go. And I didn't say to him, oh, you really should. He said, I am not emotionally prepared to go. And you know what? That was fine. That's the right choice for him. We're going to get an opportunity to go back in again. It will be completely his decision. But he's doing what's right for him. After my father passed, I chose not to see the body. And to this day, that was the right choice for him. It's hard. I'm one of the lucky ones, and it's hard. So I just keep reaching out to people I know. I keep reaching out to the people who worked in the Palisades Village. I've lived in the Palisades for 30 years. You know everyone. You know everyone who works at the stores and the restaurants and the grocery store and the dry cleaning. I mean, you know everyone. And it's not for them. They may not have lost their home, but they've lost their livelihood. Now what? Now what? Our family motto was this sort of bastardized version of a Winston Churchill quote, a very famous quote, which was, when you find yourself in hell, keep going. I've been living like that, but I've added an extra line, which is our family motto was always, my dad was as my parents were huge history buffs. And my dad, we were always huge readers of Churchill. And one of his famous quotes is, when you find yourself in hell, keep going. Now I have added my own touch which is keep laughing, because if you don't, you are going to cry. Well, and this takes us back to question one. How are you doing? Shitty. I'm not going to say it to your face. I'm going to say I'm fine, but guess what? I'm really fucking shitty. I've had one big cry, and I can't seem to summon up tears right now. And I know that's not healthy. And as I said to my therapist, guess what, Dr. May? I'll now be putting your kids through grad school. I don't have time for tears right now. They will come. It goes back to me just being incredibly mentally disciplined. And I'm doing that by asking other people how they are. I guess that's all I have to say right now. I don't know if any of it makes sense. I'm getting through it how I need to get through it. I cannot encourage people enough to reach out for mental health support. We need it. You have people like me who have not even gotten their heads around it. And you have people that are living in the moment of loss. It's like a death. And we just got to keep going. And those are the answers to the questions I've been being asked. And I love my friends. I love my family. I've learned a lot about people. I've learned a lot about a number of my friends and a number of people that I've worked with for years. I can tell you right now, a few friendships, once I get settled, are not going to continue. Because sadly, a lot of these people showed who they really are. But I'm okay. Steve's okay. Cooper's okay. And again, I go back to, we're so lucky. We're so, so lucky. One of the things that is incredible are the amount of fans that have reached out. The amount of people who have reached out, total strangers who have memorabilia, who have offered to send it to me so I can have some of these things back. Those are the people I'm so grateful for. You know, it's that cliche, the kindness of strangers. I cannot thank those people who have reached out and have continued to reach out enough. It's one of those things that makes you believe in community. And both the Palisades and Altadena, we've shown that we are truly communities. But I'm not going to lie, this is hard and it's sad, and everybody copes with it in their own way. And for me, it's just, unfortunately, I've been here before, so it's just keep going.